welcome to the Caffeinated Cast-Ons YouTube channel. My name is Therese, also known as Caffeinated Cast-Ons. Welcome! You can find me on Instagram as @CaffeinatedCast-Ons, and then just here on YouTube. I am a North Texas based knitter, and this is just my video version of Ravelry project pages where I talk about all my knitting projects, the progress I'm making on them, any hiccups along the way, and I just share my making. I do include the Ravelry project pages down below in the description box. So any of the projects that I talk about, if you want to go back and reference my notes, you can find those down below. It is Friday, January 3rd, 2025. Welcome to the new year. This is episode 53, the first episode of the new year. And I've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about some knitting goals for 2025. I've got finished objects, new cast on, works in progress, and I'm going to take you through everything that is on my needles right now, which isn't too much. It seems like a lot, but I feel like it's a lot less than this time last year. But I'll take you through everything that I'm working on and just kind of my thoughts about what I'm going to be working on this year in general. Let's start. Well, let me just talk about my goals in general. Well, no. I'll talk about goals when I talk about my weekly goals. Let me try to get my head situated. I am only on my first cup of coffee. I'm almost done with it though. And let's talk some finished objects because I have two finished objects. One I actually finished on New Year's Eve, so it went into the December finished objects, and that is a pair of vanilla socks. And these are a scrappy pair of vanilla socks, and I love how these came out so much. I love the colors, just how I decided to knit them. I followed the Crazy Sock Lady. This is her vanilla sock on 9-inch circulars. I did a German twisted cast on here, 20 rounds of 2x2 ribbing. I want to say 30 rounds for the leg, heel flap and gusset, and 70 rounds for the foot. And then once I got to the toe, I did switch to magic loop to do the toe decreasing because I did not want to do that on a 9-inch circular. So I think technically these are a size medium. And then I'm going to be donating this pair. I've been donating a few of my makes to my local community tiny pantries. There's a few around town, and I have been donating a couple beanies and some socks here and there. The socks do take longer. Some of the beanies take longer. I do have some chunkier yarn that I could use, but it is getting colder here in North Texas, so I know someone will appreciate a warm pair of socks. And I try to make them a little bit different because I was making them to my size with my stitch counts and numbering and everything. So I did try to make these a little bit longer in the foot, and I feel like this is a good enough length on a leg no matter what. So that was finished object number one. Actual first finished object of 2025 is a washcloth, and I did cast this on New Year's Day because I was going through stuff that is on my needles. So this is the finished washcloth. I have not woven in ends. And this is just a free pattern. I don't know the exact name, but in the Ravelry project page link down below, I have the link to the pattern. There are 3 different versions of it. I use the 3rd version, and it's great. I have made every single version of it because I wanted to try it out and see what I liked best. And I think the 3rd one is my favorite. The 2nd one is good too. It just depends if you like holes around like there's eyelets around the washcloth. Just depends on your preference. I knit this. Do I have the label? No, I don't. I want to say it's some type of Dishy by Knit Picks cotton yarn. I am pretty sure it was in a bag with 3 others that I finished sometime last year. So these are not, I didn't recently finish these. These have been done, but just not ends woven in. You can tell they are knit corner to corner. So I used what was whatever was left of that yarn, and then I had some plain white. I know this is Dishy, Knit Picks Dishy cotton yarn that I had left over, and used that to complete it. So I will keep this one for myself. This set of 3 I will use as a gift to someone, and I'll get more into that here in a little bit when I talk about my goals. But I just have that in my, this is my dishcloth knitting bag. I want to say, I can't remember what size needle I used on this. It is on the project page. But you could easily knit a washcloth in a day. I had just cast this on in the middle of the day, put it down because I was doing other stuff, but easily a day, less than a day. Like if you've got the time to sit down straight, these will knit up pretty quick. So that's my other finished object. Now I'm going to take you through everything that is on my needles. So I'm going to start with the 2 projects that I have in hibernation. I don't know if I will work on them anytime soon, but we're going to start with those because I think those are the oldest things that I have going on right now. The first one is in a By the Bay Bag Co. bag. This is the El Grande, which is the largest size. Unfortunately, she does not make the bags anymore, but she is teaching a sewing class. I'm not sure of all the details on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what she's doing now. But I have a DK jelly blanket on here, which is the Jelly Roll blanket by Kay Jones, and I'm doing a DK version. And this is a little hard to show, but what you are working with, I'll just show a little bit of it. You are working with, well, I am working with scraps, about 20 grams or less. And you knit a strip, and then once you finish to your desired length, you join a new one and you just keep going. I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 strips in the middle of the 6th, almost done with the 6th. I didn't realize that. This is what I'm currently on right now with this yarn. I don't know what any of these yarns are. These are all just scraps left over. Some of it are from my stash, some of it is from friends, but it is fingering weight and I'm holding it double. And I'm doing that by just pulling from both the inside and the outside of a wound up cake. I want to say this is my oldest project that I have. I'll knit on it here and there, especially when I just want some straight knitting, but I haven't pulled it out lately because I've been working on other things. And I have this on size 6 Signature Needle Arts needles. They are no longer in business. This is the one and only pair of needles I have of these. They're great. I wish I would have bought more pairs. I wish I would have started knitting with them sooner because they are really good. So that is my DK jelly blanket. The next project that I have on the needles, and I think I'm going to make it a goal to actually work on these this week, is an Afghan Square for an Afghan that I'm working on. And, sorry, this is the square. And basically each square, it's 12 squares total. It was part of a class that I took. I think the class technically started in 23 and ended in spring of 24. And each square is a different stitch technique. And then once you're done, you have 12 squares. You seam it all together, add a border, and it's an Afghan. I'm not going to pull the Afghan out because it's huge and it's like I'm in the middle of starting the border on one side, but I need to finish the last square. Couldn't tell you exactly what this stitch pattern is right here. I've forgotten. It's somewhere written down on a pattern, printed out. And then this is the yarn. I do have like 3 or 4 different colors that I'm using on the Afghan. So there's a couple different greens, a darker brown, this more tan, I believe. It has been quite some time since I pulled this out, and it is so close but so far from being done. So I do have it as one of my goals to work on this and get that done. This, I do not have a project page for this because the pattern is only available through taking that class. So I don't have a pattern that I can reference for you. Sorry. Okay, now I'm going to take you into my active whips. There's only currently 2 projects that I have. The first one is a pair of socks, and these are the Hermione Everyday socks. And I currently only have 1 sock done. I am in the middle of the leg on the second sock. I have not worked this. I don't think I touched this at all last week. My goal was to get halfway through the leg. I am not there. I really powered through my vanilla socks and got those done first because I really wanted to finish those sooner. Since they're not for myself, they are a donation. So I'll definitely be picking these back up this week. So no progress to show since last week. We're at the same spot. And I am knitting those on a 9-inch circular size US 1. And I am knitting them in this beautiful yellow. This is Madeline Tosh Merino Light in the color Winter Wheat. Yes, Winter Wheat. Beautiful. These are just a pair of socks for myself. I do already have a pair of Hermione socks in like this dark, well, not really dark gray. It's not really dark gray anymore, but it is a gray. And I was originally making these for like a costume. I didn't finish them in time. Didn't end up needing the costume. So now they're just at a leisurely pace. So let's repack that bag. And I have my magic loop needles waiting in there for whenever I eventually get to the toe. And then the last whip I have is a new cast on. I did cast this on New Year's Day, and I am not far along at all. So this is going to be a Cumulus Blouse by Petite Knit. Let me start with the yarn first. The yarn I am using is Pearls and Postulates. This was their show colorway at DFW Fiberfest this past year. So I got 3 skeins of this. This is on their Harris sock, which is 75 superwash merino and 25% nylon. And like I mentioned, I got 3 skeins. I really dug through to find some as similar as possible. Some were, oh, excuse me, some were more blue. I found some with more of like the dark moody reddish and purples in it. And I have the 3rd skein caked up. Oh, it's so beautiful. So this is what I'm knitting my Cumulus blouse out of. Now typically, the Cumulus blouse is knit with 2 strands of lace. So most people use like a mohair or a surrey held double, and that it makes a really fluffy top. I really wanted to use this yarn. I've been dying to knit this yarn up into something. 2, I don't have mohair or a fluffy yarn like that. And I didn't want to go buy any for this. And in 3, I really wanted this to be a lighter garment. I didn't want it to be as thick as holding something double. So I went with just holding fingering single. That way I can layer it and it's more comfortable any time of year, really. So this is what I have so far. Since I'm doing fingering weight held single, typically the pattern, I think you use a size US 7. I went up a needle size to a size 8. And I want to say the gauge is 4.5 stitches per inch. I'm at 5 stitches per inch, so not terribly different, but it's hard to tell right now, but it is more of an open gauge fabric. And I don't know how I like it. I'm gonna knit a little bit more. I'm doing the raglan increases right now on the yoke. And so I'm going to keep knitting, but yeah, that's very open. I'm gonna keep knitting a little bit more. That way I have a better idea of how the garment will look. If anything, I can wear a shirt underneath. We'll see. I am a little hesitant about it right now because I just want to hold it single. And I do think some fluff from like a mohair or a surrey would fill in these gaps a little bit better. But I just don't know if I want that thick of a garment. Not that it's super thick, that it'd only be about a DK weight. I'm not sure. And then it also comes to deciding what color to pick of this to find in a mohair to really come through. I think a blue or purple would be really nice. So I don't know. I'm a little torn on this because that is just more open than I want. Oops, it's the wrong side. But I really want this yarn to shine through. So I'm not 100% sure on this, and I didn't swatch. So we'll see. Right now I'm kind of talking myself into holding it with something else. But I need to make a trip to the yarn store to see. I don't know. We'll see how this goes. I'm a little disheartened right now. So if you've got any ideas, because I could go down a needle size to get a tighter gauge, but then I have to do math because I know my gauge will be different. If I'm going down a needle size rather than up, I'm going to be getting further away from gauge. And I really don't want to have to do any math of what size I need to make. But if someone wants to do that math for me, that would be great. But that's my newest cast on and what I've got on the needles. Okay. My coffee's starting to get cold. Okay, so let's talk about goals. I'll talk about weekly goals and then I'll talk about goals for 2025 in general. for the week, I want to do at least 4 pattern repeats on my Hermione Everyday Socks, just because I have not worked on those at all. I didn't work on those at all last week. So I would like to make some progress on those since I finished the vanilla socks. I would like to at least pick up the Afghan Square and just maybe do 1 repeat at least. I really do want to get a move on that and clear that off my needles, just because it has been lingering for a while and it felt really good to finish like that last washcloth and get that done and use up all that yarn and free up that space. And then I want to complete my raglan increases on my Cumulus blouse. That way I can get a better idea of what the fabric is going to do, how the drape is going to be, how open the gauge is, and then I can hopefully make some decisions on what I want to do with that. If I want to rip it out and add some mohair, which would mean shopping for that yarn, or if I want to just proceed as is and be okay with like almost always wearing either a tank top or a t-shirt underneath, because I think that is going to be a very open gauge as it is currently. I'd almost rather not have to buy mohair for this project. I was hoping this project could just use the yarn that I have currently in my stash. I did get some gift cards for Christmas to a yarn store, but I would rather use that to buy yarn for a new project. I don't know. I'm super torn. So we'll see. I'll give it another week, knit on it a little bit more, and kind of make some decisions from there. As far as goals for 2024, I don't have 2025. I don't have like a make 9 or really any big knitting plans. More of like ambitions than actual solid plans, but I would like to make at least 4 tops for myself. So essentially 1 like top, sweater, t-shirt, whatever garment a quarter. So the first quarter would be the Cumulus blouse. Will it take me that long to knit it? Who knows? Or will I finish it and work on another smaller project? I'm being very flexible and open with kind of how I'm doing it, but the idea is 1 garment a quarter. Not including like socks or beanies, but actual like a top specifically. I would like to finish my Afghan in 2025. So finishing that square, attaching the square, and completing the border. So very kind of the finishing of the square and attaching it aren't so big. I feel like the border is the biggest thing to deal with now and having to go all the way around that. So we'll see on that, but I would like to finish that and get it out of here. And then my last kind of goal for 2025 is I do want to gift more knits. I have been donating some things every so often, like I mentioned, to my community's tiny pantry, but specifically already thinking of like Christmas for 2025, and maybe not even just Christmas, maybe birthdays too. But what I would like to do is get a basket and, like, for example, the washcloths that I finished, minus like the half and half one. I'm going to keep that one for myself. But the completed washcloths, I want to put those in the basket. That way, if someone has like a birthday or a Christmas is coming up, then I can just grab from that basket, add a bow, add a card, throw in like some soap or something, and have that be a gift. So I'm thinking things like washcloths, or, oh, and I'll talk about this in a second, or like a coffee cozy like I use on my iced coffee, or a pot holder. I did find a pot holder pattern, and let me talk about that now. But I would like that to be just a growing thing, like stash of gifts that I can grab from. So I think I'm going to find a cute basket and start putting things in there to do that. And so, like the 2 other things I mentioned, so besides washcloths, and I kind of already have yarn set aside, I want to make a pot holder. And I found a pattern, I think it's by Pearl Soho, and I believe it's a free pattern on their website. But I'm going to use this Queensland Collection Coastal Cotton Ocean Mist Pure Soft Cotton. That's a lot. I can't remember where this is from. I got it as a gift, but I love the colors on it. And so I'm going to make a pot holder out of this, and it is like a double lined pot holder, and have this be part of the gift basket. So I'll probably start that here soon. And then I want to do a coffee cozy, and this is just some scrap yarn that I had left over from those vanilla socks. I think there's like 50 something grams, so that is, I think I'm going to make a large one with that, like the original size. I just have this like in a little holder here. I found this at Target in the dollar spot, and I thought that was perfect for a single skein to have on the go. So I think I'm going to cast these on in this coming week to start that. I think that's everything. Yeah, that's knitting goals for this week in 2025. All right, so I'm feeling pretty good about going into the new year with knitting. I think this time last year I was a little overwhelmed. I had a lot of projects. I want to say I had 8 projects on the needles. And so January of 2024 was all about clearing my needles. This is more of just like closing up lingering projects and going in a little bit more organized for 2025 with my tentative plan of knitting something quarterly for myself and just growing a gift stash. Okay, let's talk about reading, watching, listening. Reading, I'm still reading 2 books. I am reading A Dark and Twisted Tide by Sharon Bolton. I am almost done. Where am I? I've got this much left. I haven't picked it up in a while because I did get a Kindle for Christmas, and I am reading Dopesick on there. Kind of hard to see. Oh, it turned back on. And this, I'm borrowing this from the library, and this is due back Tuesday. So I need to get a move on because I am behind my like set reading schedule if I want to finish on time. And I know there's a trick where you can like keep it, technically return it, but keep it on your Kindle longer. I'd rather not do that. I do want to try to finish it in the time that I was allowed to borrow it for, which this was 2 weeks, I believe. It was a 2-week borrowing period. Yeah, so those are the 2 books I'm reading. This is like a kind of a dark mystery, not super dark, well, Dark and Twisted Tide, but it's set in London. It's kind of like following this detective, and it's a little thriller suspensey. And then Dopesick is more, I don't want to say textbook, but it's informative. It's kind of sad to read about. But those are the 2 books I'm reading right now. And I'm trying to make more time for reading in 2025. Because I used to be such an avid reader, then I picked up knitting, and I would like to find a balance between the 2. Watching, am watching Silo on Apple TV. We just watched the episode from last night, and then there's an episode tonight, and I think there's 2 more after that. I think the season is 10 episodes, but it's really starting to pick up, so I'm very curious how they're going to close out this season. Because I think there's going to be 2 more seasons. I know it's based on a book series, but I think there's only 3 books, so I'm not sure how they're splitting that between the seasons because I haven't read the books, and I'm not going to read them yet. I want to find out what happens in the show first. And then I restarted One Tree Hill for probably like the 20th time, if not more. I lost count after like my 12th rewatch. It is my comfort show. I don't care what you say. It's angsty teen drama. I love it. So I am rewatching that. I'm only like three or four episodes in right now, but very much enjoying my teen angst rewatch. Let's close her on up with 3 simple joys, and I need to clean up my knitting mess. There's just a pile of knitting down by my feet. So simple joy number 1 is a new planner. I got a new planner for 2025, and I am not a digital calendar person. Like, I have my digital calendar for work, but like for everyday use, I have a paper physical calendar. Is it over here? Yeah. And it's just 2025, and I love the end of the year because I just take my old planner and my new planner, I transfer all like my dates, like birthdays and stuff like that, over to the new planner. I love it so much. Like, I cannot have it on my phone in my calendar. Like, I need my planner. So I'm very excited to have a new one and just have that. Like, I love it. Simple joy number 2, this new mug. I got it whenever I got my planner. It's just from Target. There was a white one that looked really cute too, but I decided to go for this beautiful, like, lavendery purple one because the color made me happy. And I love it so much. So love that. And then simple joy number 3 has been decluttering. So much stuff accumulates, especially as a knitter, like all the little notions and everything that people can like gift or that you buy for knitting over the year. I'm not specifically decluttering knitting, but that was just an example. But specifically what I'm doing is I am playing what's called the minimalism game. And if you follow The Minimalist, they just came back on Instagram for this year, but look them up. It's Ryan Nicodemus and Joshua Fields Milburn. They have what they call the minimalism game. And so ideally, you don't have to start January 1, you could start anytime. But for the next like 30 days, essentially a month, you are decluttering every day. So for example, January 1st, just get rid of one thing. January 2nd, get rid of 2 things that day. And then today's the 3rd, so I'm going to get rid of 3 things that day. So either throwing something away that needs to be in the trash, finding something a new home and giving it to someone else, or donating it, whatever it may be. Or if it's like going through your pen jar and like getting rid of the pens that are out of ink, however that is. But by the end of the month, you do the math, you've decluttered like however many things, and your home is just actually what you need. So I have started that, and so far I am on track. I do still need to minimalize my 3 things today, and I think the fun part of it is it gets challenging the more things in a day that you have to declutter. But I'm very much looking forward to that refresh. I love this time of year, like New Year's Eve and on, just like all of the refresh, new goals, everything like that. I think that's all I've got for you. So let's see. Yeah, that's all I've got. Stay tuned on the progress of this Cumulus Blouse. I'm very interested to see what I decide. So we'll see what happens there. But whether you're setting goals or not for 2024, don't compare your makes to others. I've done that before. I still do sometimes. But I'm very much trying not to do that because I can get so in my head of what I'm making, what I'm not making, how fast I'm knitting. I'm just really going to focus on knitting what I enjoy and knitting for myself. I got into it for stress relief, like a meditative thing, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I hope you take that into consideration in your making too. Okay. That's all. I'm going to start rambling if I don't sign off. So until next time, stay caffeinated.